Have you ever been sitting with a group of people? Everyone suddenly starts laughing, and you understand exactly why it's funny. You even want to laugh, and something inside you just doesn't move. So you smile. Maybe there's a little breath through your nose. Maybe you look down for a second and pretend you're still processing the joke. Then someone looks at you and asks, "Why aren't you laughing?" And somehow that makes it worse, because now you're not experiencing the moment anymore. You're monitoring yourself, experiencing it. Some people don't actually struggle with humor. They struggle with being seen having an emotional reaction, because laughter is more vulnerable than it looks. You can control a smile, choose a compliment, decide when to speak. Laughter doesn't work like that. It escapes. Your face changes, your voice changes. Your body briefly drops its usual composure. For a few seconds, you stop managing how you appear and just respond. And for someone who spent years learning to monitor themselves, that small loss of control can feel unsafe, which is why some people can make an entire room laugh while barely laughing themselves, or are hilarious in private and go quiet in groups, or can watch comedy alone and laugh freely, then go almost expressionless the second someone sits next to them. If you've wondered why you're like this, the answer probably isn't you have a serious personality. Somewhere along the way, your brain learned that being emotionally visible comes at a cost. Laughing tells the room something without you saying a word. I enjoyed that. I understood you. I'm comfortable here. I'm letting my guard down. That last part is the one that matters. If you learned somewhere in your life that being visibly affected makes you vulnerable, your brain starts treating spontaneous emotion like something that needs supervision. The joke lands, your brain understands it, a laugh starts forming, and then another part of you quietly asks how you're looking right now. That question alone can kill the laugh before it reaches your mouth. This is one of the strangest things about self-consciousness. The moment you start watching yourself, you get worse at simply being yourself. You're sitting at the table physically, but psychologically, you're hovering somewhere above it, running a checklist. How loud was that? Did they notice? Am I laughing too much? Should I be smiling more? By the time you've asked 2 or 3 of those questions, the joke is already gone, because humor needs a bit of looseness to land, and self-monitoring is tension. You can't fully surrender to a moment while grading your own performance inside it. Research on social anxiety points at something close to this. People with social anxiety can read laughter itself as a social threat, and studies on cognitive reappraisal have found that changing how you interpret a laughing room can shift how your brain regulates those signals. So picture what's happening under the surface. Someone laughs, someone else laughs, and your nervous system's first question isn't what's funny, it's am I safe here? That single question changes everything, because laughter means something completely different, depending on what your brain expects from the people around you. Expect acceptance, and it sounds like connection. Expect judgment, and it can sound like danger, which leads somewhere uncomfortable. Maybe you don't hate laughter. Maybe you learn to fear what it can mean. There's actually a term for an intense fear of being laughed at, gelotophobia, and researchers have studied it as a real trait linked to social anxiety and sensitivity to ridicule. You don't have to consciously think, people are going to laugh at me, for this to be running in the background. The nervous system can learn a rule without ever putting it into words. Maybe you were laughed at as a kid. Maybe a mistake became family entertainment. Maybe you grew up around people who mocked emotional expression, or you were rewarded for staying composed and quietly corrected for being too loud, too excited, too much. Eventually, the brain builds a prediction out of that. Stay controlled. Don't give people material. Don't become the one everyone's looking at. Laughter is one of the places that old rule shows up, because laughing makes you visible. And visibility is exactly what a highly self-monitoring mind has learned to manage. That's also why someone can be completely at ease laughing alone in their room. No audience, no evaluation, no risk of anyone misreading their face. So the brain doesn't need to perform, and the person just laughs. Then someone walks in, and the same video that had them in stitches 30 seconds ago barely gets a reaction. The humor didn't go anywhere. The observer arrived, and that might be the deepest part of this. Sometimes the person standing between you and your laughter is you. Not the real you, but the internal audience you've built inside your head, watching, judging, keeping score. That audience can become so familiar you forget it's even there. You think you're just quiet. You're actually being watched by yourself. Once you see that, another pattern starts making sense. Some people laugh hardest at completely ridiculous things around people they trust. Their whole personality shifts, louder, more playful, willing to make a dumb joke and laugh at themselves without caring how it looks. And then they step into another room and go almost robotic. Same person, same brain, same sense of humor. What changed is how psychologically safe their nervous system feels in that moment. Your ability to laugh may have less to do with how funny something is, and more to do with how safe you feel while reacting to it. Laughter isn't really a private response to a joke. It's social. Your brain is constantly reading who's laughing, why, whether it's friendly or hostile, aimed at you or shared with you. People who fear being laughed at can genuinely perceive the same laughter differently than someone who experiences it as safe. So the person not laughing might be processing something entirely different from everyone else in the room, reading faces, calculating reactions, checking whether they belong in the moment, while everyone else is just enjoying the punchline. There's another layer too. Sometimes people aren't suppressing laughter out of fear. They're suppressing emotion in general, a habit that often forms in people who grew up equating seriousness with maturity, the responsible one, the calm one, the person who handles everything. Eventually, seriousness stops being something you do and becomes part of who you are. So something funny happens. You understand it, you appreciate it, and your body doesn't quite follow because you've spent years becoming the person who stays composed. The emotional reaction is still there. Your identity just keeps the door half shut. That's why forcing a laugh usually feels awful. You can make the sound, copy the expression, perform amusement, and it still feels fake because real laughter isn't a decision, it's a response. And the harder you monitor a response, the more artificial it gets. Research on laughter regulation has actually looked at this directly, studying how people use distraction, reappraisal, and expressive suppression to manage laughter in social versus solitary settings. That points to a useful distinction. Choosing not to laugh is regulation. Being unable to let yourself laugh is closer to inhibition. If you're the second kind, just laugh more, isn't going to help, any more than telling someone afraid of heights to enjoy the view. The real work is figuring out what your brain thinks will happen if you stop controlling yourself for a few seconds. What are you afraid your laughter will reveal? That you're awkward, too excited, that your laugh sounds strange, that people will judge you, or something simpler, that someone will finally see you having a genuine reaction. Underneath a lot of emotional inhibition is one basic fear. If people see the real reaction, they might use it against me. That belief can outlive the environment that created it. You can leave the classroom, the family, the friend group, the relationship, and still carry the audience around in your head. Carl Jung had a useful frame for this. He argued that the parts of ourselves we push out of conscious awareness don't disappear. They keep shaping behavior from the background. Laughter can be one of the small places where that hidden self tries to surface. The playful, ridiculous, spontaneous version that doesn't need to be impressive or controlled, which might be exactly why some people feel oddly uncomfortable around their own laughter. For a few seconds, the carefully built version of them, the serious, competent, composed one, disappears, and underneath it is just a person making an unnecessary sound because something was funny. There's something almost beautiful in that. And something a little frightening too, because laughter is proof you don't have total control over yourself. Psychologically healthy people generally aren't the ones who control themselves perfectly. They're the ones who can tell when control is useful and when it's fine to let it go. So if you've spent years wondering why you can't laugh when everyone else does, don't ask whether something's wrong with your sense of humor. Ask what happens inside you when you become visible. That question goes a lot deeper. You probably don't need to become funnier. You need to become less occupied with how you look while something funny is happening, and to find environments where you don't have to monitor every reaction. Sounding ridiculous for 3 seconds doesn't make you a ridiculous person, and letting your nervous system experience something it's been avoiding for years, being seen without performing, is worth more than forcing a personality that isn't yours. The goal isn't to become the loudest person in the room or to laugh at every joke on cue. It's quieter than that. To reach a point where something genuinely funny happens, and for once, you don't look around first, don't check who's watching, don't calculate your face, you just laugh. And for a few seconds, there's no internal audience left, just you, having a human reaction. If this made you recognize something in yourself you couldn't quite explain before, like the video, share it with someone who might relate to it without saying so, and subscribe to Psyscholar for more psychology that goes past the behavior and into the machinery behind it. Sometimes the strangest things about us aren't signs that something's broken. They're clues pointing toward the places where we learned to become someone we thought the world would find easier to accept. Healing often starts with realizing you don't have to supervise every part of yourself anymore. Sometimes something is funny. Sometimes you laugh too loud, and everyone looks over, and you let them, because the moment you stop treating your own spontaneity as evidence against you is the moment you're finally free enough to feel it.